Hi, so in today's video I'm going to be showing you how you can recreate this super cool and smooth 3D map animation in After Effects. So let me show you how you can actually make it yourself. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is obviously open up After Effects. Now in After Effects, let's create a new composition right here. We're going to have 1920 by 1080 with like 24 FPS. To press OK. That's pretty much it. Now we can start creating. The first thing that I'm going to do is add the map layer. Of course, you can find all the assets that I show you in this video, including the map, in the description down below in my Discord server for completely free. All you have to do, join the server and download the assets from the server. That's it. So I just imported the map. I scaled it up a little bit. I scaled it and positioned it so the Italy is in the middle, because you're going to be doing animation around Italy, nothing really special. Now the next thing, once you have this map in, I'm going to remove the background because I don't really like it, and we're going to replace it with just pure white. All you have to do is select the layer. Of course, we go to effects and we search for key light. Now we just drag this effect onto our map layer, and with this effect, now once you have this effect, you're gonna go right here to the key light effect, screen color, and we're gonna press this little icon right here. Now we can select the color that we want to remove, which is this one, the water right here. And just like so, it's gonna remove it. We can even check this so we can truly see it's transparent, which looks really good. Play around with the settings until you get something that you like. Me personally, I think something like this looks good. Something like this looks good. So this is before and this is after. Pretty cool in my opinion. Now the next thing we're gonna do is make sure that this layer is 3D, because you're gonna be making like, I was a 3D animation to say. I'm gonna add this white background. You can also find it with the rest of the assets, like I said before. We're gonna scale it up a little bit, just like so. Put it below this. We're also gonna make this 3D, and this is basically like a wall texture, because what we're gonna be doing is making it seem super like highly realistic, like it's almost drawn on the wall. We're gonna be adding some shadows, some lights and this and that. I'm gonna show you. Make sure that you watch the full video so you really understand everything that I'm showing in this video. Okay, so the next effect that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to effects and search for drop shadow. Now we're just gonna drag it to our map layer. Also, we're gonna rename our layers just so we keep everything organized. We're gonna call this map, and we're gonna call this background or PG, whatever you want to name it. Now we're gonna play around the settings on our drop shadow until we get something that we like. Okay, so this is what I was afraid of. All right, drop shadow doesn't look as good as I thought it's gonna be. So there is, because I want to make this super like long shadow to this map, I have this super cool like long shadow effect for this map in my mind, but drop shadow doesn't look anything like it. So let me show you a cool trick that you can do that will replace drop shadow. Okay, so let me show you. Here's the cool thing that we're gonna do. We're gonna duplicate it. We're gonna duplicate the map layer, so map 2. We're gonna rename it shadow, and we're gonna go to effects and search for CC, radial fast blur, and we're gonna drag it onto our shadow layer. And now what we're gonna do is play around with the settings until we get a shadow that we like. I'm gonna make sure the center is around here, or make it even maybe further away, like so. This looks a little better. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add tint to this effect, or this shadow layer, just so it's black and white, because right now you can see if we turn it off, it's green, which shadows aren't. So if we enable this, now it's black and white. Now this still doesn't look the best. There is also another effect that we're gonna be adding. It's gonna be blur. We're just gonna see which one looks the best. It's probably gonna be box blur. So let me find it. Fast box blur, just like so. And we're gonna play around. Just add a little bit, just so it's a little bit nicer. It's not as harsh of a shadow, just like so. I think this looks pretty cool. We can even play around with the transparency of this layer. Just by pressing T on our keyboard, and we get this pretty realistic shadow, in my opinion, right? Play around with the settings, get something that you like. I think this looks pretty sick, in my opinion. So why not? Let's actually start animating it, right? Now, the animation that we're going to be doing is just, right click right here, new, and we're going to add a camera, just like so. I'm going to go type OneNote camera and press OK. Now, I'm probably going to be doing another video on a similar animation like this one, where I'm going to be using 2Note camera. So now we got the camera. Now what I'm going to do is click, we're going to right click right here, new, and we're going to add null object. Now, why did I do that, right? We're going to pair camera to the null object. And let me explain why. Now, when you're doing any animations whatsoever with like 3D camera and stuff, it's going to be a lot smoother if you animate with null objects, mainly because you can stack those animations. So even before the animation fully finishes, you can already start another one. So it smoothly transitions between animations. While if you were doing directly in camera, the animation for like position or scale, you wouldn't have such a nice transition to it. Before I continue with the video, I just want to tell you that you can find all of the assets that I show you in this video for completely free in my Discord server. Just join it and you can download it for completely free. So that's why we're going to be doing this, right? We're going to go right here to parent and link, and we're going to drag it to our null object right here. So for example, if I go to my null object and if I just play around with the position, as you guys can see, it, zooms out this and that. So now let's actually create a, click on stopwatch icon for position and also for scale. We're going to be playing around. Now this is where I want my animation to end. Like I want my animation to end right here, zoomed in on Italy. So we're going to actually move these two keyframes a bit forward, and we're going to create another two. And for the first two keyframes, we're going to place the camera while we want animation to stop. So I'm going to be scaling it a little bit out. Don't worry about the background. We're going to fix it. We're going to be scaling it a bit out and, moving it a bit like so. Now, as you guys can see, the background is not big enough. So let me show you how we're going to fix it. You're going to go to effects and you're going to search for motion tile, right? For this one right here. And you're going to drag it onto our background layer. Now, what we're going to do is select mirror edges and, play around with output width and output height, just like so. Probably going to put them both on like around 300. Don't put too much because then it's going to get a little bit laggy. It's just not going to look as good. But for this effect right now, I think if we actually disable mirror edges, I think it actually looks a little better almost. I think it actually looks a little bit better. So animation right now, let me show you. This is what it looks like. Not the best, let's be honest, not the best, but we can fix it. Make sure that you select all the layers, and we're gonna select this. This is motion blur. We want motion blur, right? Now go to composition settings, advanced, and make sure the shutter angle is on 180 degrees. This is gonna give us the most realistic motion blur to what real life is. Now go to the keyframes, select all of the keyframes, right click on them, keyframe assistance, ease, and we're gonna go to this graph right here. Now with this selected, I'm gonna select this first keyframe. I'm gonna drag it like so. We're gonna make it so the highest point is somewhere around the start. That means that the start is going to be, the animation start is going to be really fast, and then he's going to smoothly, slow down, just like so. Select the last keyframe, drag it out like this, and we should get something like this. Let me show you. Let me actually put the preview on quarter. I think this doesn't look too bad. Okay, but now, right, this already looks pretty good. But now, let me show you how you can make this looks super realistic with just a couple of clicks. Okay, drag the asset in just like so. Make sure it's 3D motion blur enabled. Now we're gonna scale it So it's going to be properly scaled, of course. Make sure it's properly like scale it like so. And now what we're going to do, here's the secret, right? Once you scale it up, here is the secret of how we're going to make this look super good. We're going to go right here to mode and we're going to click on this multiply, just like so. We should have this like really nice like shadow and just looks like it's there, like it's in real life. Looks really good in my opinion, right? It's pretty good. We can also add, if you don't like how flat the image looks right now, you can also add curves to the, shadow, and we can just make the lights lighter and the darks, darker to add some contrast. So before, after, just like so. Or just copy this graph that I just made for yourself. Now, if we disable the shadow, this is what it looks before, and this is what it looks now. It looks a lot more cinematic, and it just looks a lot better now. Right, now we have the animation, of course, right? We already have the animation. Don't mind the background. I don't know why this is happening when I put the preview resolution to quarter. I don't know why this is happening, but this is not going to show on the final. We have this super simple zoom in effect. Let me show you what I'm also going to do. Is what I'm going to go to camera, press P on your keyboard for position, and hold option on your, if you're on MacBook, hold option, and this should come up. This is the expressions for After Effects, and these are so useful once you learn them. Like on the start, they're going to be very scary for learners, but once you truly realize the potential they have, and you start using them and learning them, you're going to realize how good expressions actually are. So what I'm going to do is write wiggle right like this, and what I'm going to do is we're going to add 2 numbers to it. For the first one, I'm going to add 1, and for the second one, I'm going to add probably something like 35. Let's see how that looks. Now, what we just made is this camera shake, which I think looks really good. I think this camera shake is pretty cool. I think we've done it a little bit too much, so we're just gonna add 1.25. I think this looks better. Yeah, I think this looks really, really good. I think this looks really good, actually. Now, the next thing is what I'm gonna do is probably make the camera. Now we're gonna add shadow. By the way, we forgot to rename this window shadow layer, so I'm just gonna do it right now. Window shadow. Just make sure they were always organized when you're working in After Effects. But right now, let's go right here, right click, new, and we're gonna make a new null object, because right now the animation looks really good, but we wanted to kind of move to another place. So let me just check. Okay, so the animation stops around here. So we're gonna start animating it around here. Make sure that this null object, null 1, is parented to null 2. So now go here, press on stopwatch icon for position 2, and go a little bit forward. And we're just gonna position it a little bit, probably somewhere around here. I haven't really decided yet. Something like here should be good. Probably make it like this. And now we select to stick. Now we're gonna select these 2 keyframes, right click on them, keyframe assistance, easy ease. Now we're gonna go to the graph, and we're gonna create a curve that's somewhat the fastest in the middle, like so. So like this. So right now we have this animation, which is pretty good in my opinion, right? Yep. So now that the animation looks really smooth, let's also add a couple of assets and stuff, just so we make it more entertaining to say. We're gonna add some sort of like pin symbol or like an icon right here, and then we're gonna make basically like an arrow pointing, like we're gonna animate an arrow going from Italy to right here. So let me just show you how we're gonna do this. So we're gonna drag the spin icon into our composition like so. We're gonna make sure it's 3D, it has motion blur. Also, we're gonna rename it to pin 1, and we're gonna drag it like below our window shadow and above the map layer. I'm gonna locate it somewhere like this. Make sure it's scaled properly. just go to beginning of button. Okay, so looks pretty good, but right now it's not the most visible. So what we're gonna do is go to effects and search for tint, like we did before with the shadow. We're gonna drag it on our pin 1 layer, and we're gonna click matte black 2 because the layer is black. And this is basically gonna change the color to whatever they want. So I want red, for example, it's gonna change it to red, but this doesn't look the best. I'm gonna make sure it's a little bit darker for red, maybe a little bit brighter, just like so. Now what I'm gonna do is add drop shadow, or just like so. Distance, softness, play around with settings. I think this is very cool looking in my opinion. We also gonna go over to our map layer, or to our map shadow layer, and we're actually gonna copy the read. Let me just try something. We're gonna Control C and duplicate it. We're gonna put it below, and we're gonna go to our map shadow layer, and we're gonna copy these 3 effects: the radial fast blur, tint, and fast box blur, and paste it into our pin 2. So I'm gonna check if this looks good. About 80, deep curl 2, so like this. So now go to effects, we're gonna search for deep glow, and we're gonna drag it onto our pin 1 layer, and looks really good. We're gonna lower the exposure a bunch, something like this. In my opinion, looks really good. Usually something between 0 and 20 looks the best usually, and as you guys can see, it looks really good. Now so now what we're gonna do is let's actually animate the pin. So right click, and we're gonna do the same that as we did for the camera. We're gonna click new, and we're gonna click on null object. Now we're gonna drag it above the pin layer, just so we stay organized, and make sure the pin layer is parented to the null object. So now what I'm gonna do is press P on our keyboard, and on the style where it zooms in on Italy, where we want it to show, we're gonna have this keyframe, and on where we want it to be hidden, we're gonna go right here because we want it to be hidden here. I'm just gonna drag it probably, let's say, up. It's gonna look the best, just like so. Select the 2 keyframes, easy is just like we did before. Make sure I don't really like it. Let's make the animation a bit longer, just like so. And now select both of these keyframes, and what we're gonna do is make sure that the start is it starts off fast and then kind of smoothly fades out, just like so, just like so. Now, so this still doesn't look. Now we did the movement animation. Let's actually, now what I'm gonna do is make sure it smoothly blurs in nicely. So what I'm gonna do is search for fast box blur. I'm gonna drag it onto our pin layer. We're gonna actually animate it. So click on this stopwatch icon, create 1 keyframe on the start where we had the start of the pin animation, go to the end of pin animation, create another keyframe. Now go to the first one. I'm gonna blur it a little bit. Now what we're also gonna do besides blur is click T for our pin layer, and I'm gonna actually animate opacity so it smoothly kind of fades in. We're gonna drag the keyframe, the first keyframe, to right here where the animation and the blur stop, and we're gonna make another one on the start of both of these keyframes, and I'm gonna drag this to 0. So now it's kind of smoothly fade in, which it doesn't really, because we have to select these 3 keyframes, keyframe assistant, and like we did before, we're gonna press easy ease. Or if you're on Windows, you can even just press F9. We're gonna go to our graph and make sure it starts, the animation, and just zoom in since I can't really see it properly. You're gonna select the first keyframe and make sure it kind of starts, off fast, and it zooms, kind of fades out nicely and smoothly, just like so. Okay. This looks pretty good so far, right? The pill, I like it. I like the animation. It's super subtle, super simple. Now let's actually make another pin right here. Let's just say for the sake of tutorial, I'm gonna make the pin right here. So what we're gonna do is select pin 1 and this null for the pin, and we're just gonna duplicate them just like so. Make sure they are both above this layer, and pin 2 and null 3, and now what I'm going to do is just position them, make sure both of these are selected, and just position them where we want this pin to be. So for example, we want to be right here, like we said before. And what I'm going to do is make sure both of these are just like so. And also we're going to select both of these layers, the pin and the null for that pin. And we're going to make sure they start off a bit later. So let me just check what the whole animation looks like right now. Pin right here, it goes right here, and another pin right here. So this is what the full animation looks like right now. Okay, so now this animation looks pretty cool so far. Right, we got the dots, of course. But now let's actually animate, like I said before, that line that I was talking about. From this asset pack that you probably downloaded, I'm just gonna, from the asset pack, in the Discord, we're gonna import this arrow, this glowing arrow, and make sure the sound is disabled because there is no sound. First of all, we're gonna go to mode and we're gonna put it to screen just so we can see everything. Now we're gonna make sure that 3D is enabled and also motion blur is enabled. And now we're just gonna position it correctly. So first, let's rotate it just like so. Let's actually scale it up, scale it down, not up, my bad, because right now it's way too big. Play around with the rotation, and now I think we pretty much got it. Just align it like so. 2, 1, 3. Let's actually go and make this like this, and perfect. So now that you have this arrow aligned perfectly, we're gonna move this layer down below, beneath from the pin layer and above the map layer, just like so. Now we are also gonna do is I'm gonna go to this arrow, also rename it to arrow, and I'm gonna add a couple of effects to it. So for example, I'm gonna go to effects and search for tint. I'm gonna drag tint layer, tint effect to the arrow. I'm gonna, click on map white too, and we're gonna select red. So it's a little bit better. And duplicate it just like so. Make sure the window shadow is enabled from before. And now we're gonna actually animate the arrow. So right now it's not really animated. I mean, it's animated, but not correctly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that the arrow kind of starts moving with the camera animation. So let me just see where it starts. So it starts right here. Yeah, also gonna do the same for the arrow. So basically right click on them and we're gonna go time, enable time remapping. So it basically starts right here and we want it to end right here basically. So go right here where you want the animation to end, and I'm just gonna drag this so it barely ends right on the time marker like so. And we can delete these two keyframes on the end so it looks something like this right now. But as you guys can see, the arrow animation is a little bit choppy. So what I'm gonna do is make sure that on both of these, we're gonna make this, right? Not the first one, but this one. This is gonna give, basically, this is gonna kind of make artificially frames in between. So it kind of adds more FPS to it. Now this all looks pretty sick in my opinion. But now that's pretty much done. Let's just add a couple effects to it and make it finish, right? We're gonna right click, new, adjustment layer. Now, what I'm gonna add is deep glow to the whole, to the full layer, just so it kind of, I'm gonna make sure it's very, very subtle. And because we had that window layer, and this is just gonna kind of blend everything together, I think, nicely. I'm gonna put it to around 0.03, I think, right? I'm gonna go to input and I'm gonna change threshold to 50% and threshold smooth to, again, 50%. just like so. I'm gonna lower it a little bit. So before, after, just added that nice glow to the white background and everything. And I think it looks just a tad, better in my opinion. Okay. Now, what I'm also going to add to this adjustment layer is going to be Lumetri color. Lumetri color. We're going to select it, drag it right here. And what I'm going to change is, first of all, I want to change the vignette and go minus and really make sure to really add it, feather it out a little bit, because the vignette is really going to add that nice cinematic feel to this animation. I feel like it's gonna make sure we focus on only one thing, which is the center of the animation. Now that we have vignette, we're gonna go to color wheel and we're gonna play around with the settings. I'm gonna go to shadows. I'm gonna drag it to this bluish color, right? Gonna make sure the shadows are a bit darker, just like so. We are also with that adding a bit of contrast to everything. When it comes to highlights, we're gonna make them a little bit higher, just like so. On mid-tones, I'm gonna put this to a bit of a greeny color, just like so. Gonna make shadows even darker. Now that we're done with the adjustment layer, if we now disable it and enable it back on, you can see the difference is pretty big, right? You can see a huge difference in my opinion. It just looks way more cinematic. It looks way better in my opinion. So yeah. Also, if we disable the window, you can see a massive difference also. So, this is what usually people make. This is what you can make after this tutorial. It's a big difference, right? Now, this video has been pretty long, so I'm not gonna bore you any longer. But if you want to take this animation to the next level, watch this video right here.